Ironically, we're going to be talking about, and Mike, you weren't here. We were working on this bubble diagram guy. And remember, I said I wanted it to be able to be different colors. We have this set to be controlled by the absolute area. Well, what I got to thinking about, and I actually had wanted to come in here and do, was what if I didn't make it as a detail component? What if I made it as another type family? And this is where the frustration comes in. Because if I go, let's see, what was this thing? That was a tag that we had. We'll get rid of that one. All right. So if I decided, what hit me at night was I was thinking about this bubble diagram guy, and I said, maybe if I made it as a solid object, that would make it easier. So my solid object, as we always talked about, is go to the generic model. Now, all the other ones that were listed under there that we just saw, if their category is right here, when I go to my categories, these are all 3D families, okay? So in other words, because I started with that 3D family, this is one of those ones that I can create the extrusion, create the blend. Now, what I would like to really do is I would like to take, because remember, we wrote these parameters and we were putting in those shared parameters and stuff. I would really like to try to get all of that information into my other file. But Mike or Eric or Misty would be quick to tell you, Brian, you cannot copy the clipboard, go to that other family and paste that in. So if I was to go to paste, it's going to say you cannot copy 2D elements into a 3D family. Right? Everyone can see that?
Uh-huh.
So that's where, for many years, I just said, well, you couldn't do it. Got any ideas how you can do it, Eric?
Load the family that you were trying to drop in there.
That would be one way to do it. That would be one way to do it. It wouldn't bring the parameters. So what I actually found out one time, this blew my mind, is I'm going to go ahead and hide this object, and I'm going to realize that what I really want to copy is those two reference planes and these two dimensions. Now watch how I do this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a line that's right at the intersection of those two, because we're not taking this reference plane and this reference plane. We're taking all the rest of that stuff. Now, if I copy and I come out to here and I do a Control V, still says you cannot do it. Okay. Disappointing.
Are you saying the parameters are on the dimensions?
No, just watch. This will blow your mind, I promise you. Okay. So instead, what if I unhide that and I said, double click on this object here, and then I'm going to throw a dimension from here to here and one from here to here, because we've already defined those two dimensions. And we're going to make this be the depth and this be the width. And then I took all of that information and I said Control C. You're probably like, okay, Brian, this is getting a little old. How many times you got to copy and paste this guy? What we would find is if we went back here and we started an extrusion and then did the paste. Oh, you dirty dog. Dirty dog. Let's see which objects I can actually get. Let's try just these ones. Let's do just this thing. Copy. Paste. Cancel this. Quit sketching and paste. That's pretty unique. It's not what I was thinking I was going to have happen.
I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to convert a 3D object into a 2D object in the system.
Well, when I'm in the sketch mode, I'm actually in a 2D sketch mode.
Exactly.
And I would have thought that would have worked. I know that I can do this from a project, which is another thing that people sometimes have a problem with, is they say, Brian, I've drawn that stuff in my project and I want to copy it into my family. And you think you can't copy it into your family, but you actually can. But this appears like I would have to rewrite all of this stuff in this guy. So if you remember what we did, and that's why I didn't go to a whole lot of trouble of it. But what I'm going to actually do is here's where my thinking is. Back in this plan view. Now, I had said I wanted to make the different objects, the different categories of these bubbles as different colors. And I did not see any way in the family. So this is that actual family. If I finish this, I didn't see any way to come here and come to the type of fill. And what I'm looking for is, you see these little dots out here? That means I can link them to a parameter. And there is no dot right here next to background color. There is no dot right here next to foreground color. So those cannot be made into parameters. That makes sense to you? So in other words, what really comes out of this is to understand that if you want the type image, you can always make that into a parameter where you could put that in there. But some things cannot, and one of them is the hatch pattern. So in here, I want to look at create model text and put a piece of model text. I'll show you where I was at with this thing. Was I found that if you go to the, where's the text ready? Right here's the text. You'll see that I can actually make that into a parameter if that little button pops up. See that button right here? Can't do it for left, but I can do it for model. I can do it for visibility. I can do it for material, which is where my thought process was, is then I could just make a bunch of materials that are transparent pink, transparent yellow, transparent orange, and they would correspond to restrooms, nursing, whatever the heck those things were. So my idea was I could use the same family and it be driven by the actual material, which was related to what the description of the name was. And I'm going to go ahead and develop that for the next meeting. But I wanted to at least show you, you've got to be looking for these little dots. These little dots mean that I can adjust the depth of this model text. If I want to put a parameter in there, I can make that an adjustable size. Okay. And the key is not to make too many of them adjustable, but obviously to make enough adjustable. Now, that's where once I made this once I decided I was going to make this, and the idea is I'm going to do exactly what I did before. I'm going to create this shape, and then I'm going to put these radiuses on here.
How do you decide what gets a shared parameter and what gets a project parameter? Only if it's going to be tied to the families?
Only if you need a tag, because you see, when you need a tag, what happens is you have to be able to put that same exact parameter in the tag in order for it to find that information.
Okay.
So that's what makes a shared parameter so important, is you could put it in the actual family, you can put it in the project, and you can put it in the tag. Now, when you use that tag in the project, it works because it's the same exact parameter.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Let me ask you one more thing on that then, because have you ever seen it where you have a parameter name the same exact name because
Absolutely.
it came from, okay.
And that's related to this. So if we go back to this Brian's floor plan, right? When we go out to our manage and we go to our shared parameters, you would see that if there's no, I'm sorry, not shared parameters, project parameters. You would see, no, not add, but modify. You see this export button right here?
Mm-hmm.
If this was a shared parameter, I could export this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what ends up happening is that gives it this weird, like 10 character, almost like an element ID. So what happens is you only see category, category, category. You see 3 parameters that say category. What you don't see is their tag ID or parameter ID value, which means they came from 3 different shared parameter folders.
Okay. I always wondered what did that. Thank you.
See, otherwise it would be saying, oh, there's already one of those in there. What
Correct.
you don't realize when you do a shared parameter, it's not the same parameter. Even though the name is exactly the same, it's carrying those 8 characters so that it can know those 8 characters in the tag and in
Yeah.
the family so that they work. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And that's really deep for you guys, for Ginger and Tyler. But I want you to at least have a grasp on it. I mean, even for Mikey, I know Mike's still a little bit iffy on making no shared parameters, but that's really how all the work gets done. Now, the big problem we have, because we're at the end of the chain, is any possible person at the mechanical engineering company could have been playing with shared parameters, not really have a grasp for what they're doing, and it could get in from there. It could get in from anyone at that company that might say, oh, just copy it off of my job. And next thing you know, when you copy an object in, it brings that shared parameter with it. So that's why you get that buildup. That's why I don't like to have, if you're not real careful and you don't have that file cleaned up, you're going to go into project parameters, right? You see how there's 3 of them here? If Eric, you don't happen to have one of our casinos open, do you?
Nope, but I can.
And you wanted to open that up, and then let's look at Eric's screen, what he gets for project parameters. You'll quickly see this is way too few. And what we're going to see on the casino is way too many. And the key is to have just the right amount. Okay. So what I was actually doing while he's looking that up, and he'll show it to us in a second, is if I looked at this 3D guy, you would see we know we can make the height of this. We could put a parameter on that because right here it says extrusion end. And it's really weird because you don't see the dot until you click into it. Why am I not seeing the dot? There it is. There was a scroll bar there a second ago.
Yeah.
That was weird. Never hear that one before?
That was wild.
That was wild.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. That's exactly what he said. And we'll let you guys all in what we're talking about. Remember I told you in the beginning when we were first starting this training that we had gotten so good with the Autodesk version of 3D. It was called Architectural Desktop. I mean, we went out to Vegas. Remember, we had this discussion. We really tore it up. We were kicking butt. And we were like, if we could just get these 10 answers, we would be golden. So what do you think we did? Because I was the director of the CAD department, I hired a local Autodesk dealer to come in, and for how long did he last? 4 hours, 5 hours, and we went to lunch.
That's right. I forgot about that. He bailed after lunch.
For 5 hours, we went to lunch, or 5 hours before lunch. We hit him up with, well, how do we do this, and how do you do this, and how do you do this? And his answer for everything was wild. That's wild. We'd be like, whenever we do this, this causes this crash to happen, or this. Oh, that's wild. He had the sales guy come in, take us out to a fancy steakhouse, a fancy Firebirds, if you've ever been in Charlotte, fancy steakhouse. And then mysteriously, the salesman said, oh, the training guy that was supposed to be with you for 2 days, he's got an emergency call at another location. And he had to go.
Well, that was wild.
Nice one. I like it, Mikey. I like it. It was very frustrating. That same problem still exists, except the difference is when we have the group of us together, we can solve a lot of those problems. And I think that's one of the things that would really benefit us if we did one night a week where we went to an Autodesk discussion group. Do you know what that is, Tyler or Ginger?
We
Or
get
Eric?
free food.
Mike?
No.
Nope. I'm not talking about a Revit users group. I'm talking about on the internet. If you typed in Autodesk discussion group,
You got to bring it to the screen.
I will. I'm just opening it up. What you'd find is it's going to take you to something like this for all the different products. So if we went to the Revit products and we went to the Revit architectural, notice there's a mechanical forum. These are people's questions. This is a good way if you don't have this network of Brian and Eric, maybe we both drop off the face of the earth tomorrow. If you have a question, and look at this one right here, Eric, I bet you any money this is the one we just talked about. See, the idea is I have a very, very simple family that builds a rectangular board. I need the angle of the board controlled by a parameter, just like its width, length, and thickness. Could someone please help me out of my misery and show me how it's done? And this guy here, which Barth Bradley, I remember him from 8 years ago. I think he actually works for Autodesk. You will find that there's a handful of people who answer these kinds of questions. My frustration is when they don't necessarily answer your questions very quickly. Let's see. I never have understood how this fellow is on here able to answer questions on the same day, because and maybe they've just gotten enough. Maybe they're paying them. Maybe they're, I don't know.
Paying too much. Paying too much is in there a lot.
Vested families with weird symbol lines, and you see when they're like that, I believe this is one. Ooh, that's nice. Vested families with weird symbol lines because they imported an AutoCAD file. Oh, look, he's probably. Oh, he's even helped him out. He has helped him out. The problem is he's answered this question in such a way that he allows him to continue to use the bad object as opposed to explaining that this should be a solid filled object with 3 pieces. Try exporting to PDF instead of printing. Right there, he's actually asking the exact question. So the idea is how I got better, how I pushed through that threshold of just using the software and really started getting better was I'd come to this discussion group, and I was an active contributor for a long time where I would answer questions like this. And that's how I remember Barth Bradley. When I was in DC, I remember trying to answer the questions faster than him. Okay, I do know that he's very sharp, and I think that's what the number means next to the name. You see how many, that's like how many answers. So this guy's probably the top guy well, if it's Steve Stafford, that makes sense. Steve Stafford is really good. What the heck is Paul Aubin? He's really, really good. The idea being is if we could sort of get a list, and I'd like to see our website tell people who the good people are out there. I think we talked about that earlier, but where I'm going with this part of the story is if you go to that discussion group, Tyler, and you start trying to read through there and see the problems people are having and see if you can start answering those questions for them. It's not going to happen this year. It's probably not going to get into that to maybe 2-3 years down the line. But my thinking is if we just started handling this discussion group on a weekly basis and went back through any of the ones that weren't solved, okay? I still don't understand where it says, because look at how many views they're getting in these things. I mean, they got 300 views. And like I said, here you're talking about nested families.
Well, that's because there's so many people that have the same problems, and they go there to just see someone else asked it.
And if anybody solved it for them, exactly.
Exactly. This one's pretty unique. Look at how many views it's got. That's because, unfortunately, there's no baluster schedule in Revit, and it doesn't sound like they still are.
Well, that's a 2015 forum.
No, well, but this is stuff that has someone posting on it recently. So in other words, even though it was that long ago, that was when it was started, they're still asking about it this many years later.
Almost 10 fucking years, and they haven't fixed their problem.
Yep. Creating a library of families. That one there, that would be an easy problem to solve with Dynamo or with Jaffe's methodology. See what this guy's trying to do? He's trying to create a Revit file where he can go copy the things out that he needs. That's not how Revit works. This file here that he's building is going to get so extremely large that is no longer friendly to go get the objects from it because it takes so long to open up that library file. Okay, but that's how they used to do it in AutoCAD. You would put all the different details you've ever seen in your day, you would put them in that library file. Then if you ever needed to do them again, you could copy them.
But what you have to use now is the family system, I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, this isn't a totally bad way to do this. I mean, Misty could bring some to the table here because what happens is when you're trying to bring young users up, like you and Ginger, what it helps is for you to have something to steal from, and then you can sort of tweak it a little bit. All right? The problem is I can guarantee you this guy here, I mean, everything you're looking at, I had already done multiple times. You sort of start to drift away from it because you realize it doesn't work. So more than likely, this guy was the lead person at the firm, which is where this problem exists. You need to put 5 of the lead people at 5 different firms and have them talk through what they've done to come up with a better process on how to do what they're trying to do. And you don't necessarily get that assistance with these discussion groups. You sort of get this, I solved it, it's been solved, and that's why this is all grayed out. But my definite recommendation to both you guys is you should go through some of the discussion groups so you can at least learn how they respond to it, so that you know how to go add something to that discussion group if you don't have Brian and Eric and Misty around. But our goal is to be able to answer these questions for us together. Does that make sense? That's where we want to keep. And I don't know, maybe it only goes to happening once a month or every other week or every 2 months. I don't know. But at least for the time being, I see a bigger purpose being that if we start getting more people on the site, then we have people that can either assist us or we can assist. And that means either give them work or they give us work, because that's what's going to eventually end happening, I do believe. We'll see how that goes. I think this has been a very good pilot to this point, but I still don't know exactly how we proceed from here. What I was trying to show you before is with this guy, what happens is if I was to make a material, right? But instead of making the material, first I'll make the material, okay? And let's call these, I'm going to call all these things areas. So we'll go down to our default. Like I said, I like to really, really always do this. I would call this area dash patient rooms. Which of course I'm going to copy. And then I'm going to do this checkbox, this one, make sure that I can see that, duplicate it, put the same name, pick my color, maybe a green. And ironically, on this one here, I'm going to give it some transparency as well. About 30% works good. So what happens is, now I've got this object that I can sort of see through. Let's pretend we loaded this into the project. Or no, before I do, you're going to see if I go to my parameters, this one doesn't have any parameters in it, just this default elevation. Well, if I pick this object and I said material and hit this dot, I can make this say this was the material. I think I can use the same name. And I'm going to make that be a type parameter. Okay, so now if I loaded this into the project, what would happen is, remember how I said that I wanted this to be a color? You'll find that now if I was just running in a shaded view, I would get that green color. If I went to a 3D view, you can actually see it right inside that window there. Let's do an isolate category. And the idea would be if we copied this. Now, this one would be, you notice how it's named family 4? This would be the one that was my patient room. Then I could duplicate it and I could make this be my nursing station, let's call it. Now, one thing I'd like to do is I'd like to copy that just because I'm lazy. And what I would do is for my nursing stations, I would need them to have a different material. See, that's why I made it a type parameter as opposed to an instance parameter. So in other words, I was thinking in my mind, I'm going to have different types of areas. So we can now say that this material, let's see, we would just go and say duplicate, take the word patient out of it, put in the nursing stations, Control C, go to the appearance, duplicate it, Control V, and pick another color. So my thinking is, now you end up with the blue and the green, as well as in the plan, you can have them be the right color. So what I now need to do is go back and try to do this tagging situation, which is by doing those parameters. And I'll be honest, I think what I'm going to do is I don't think that's the best for one of these streams like we're doing. I think that would be the best for me to just sort of record solo and put up on our site. And when you guys have that question or want to look into it, or if you just want to stay up to date with the latest ones I've done, that would be a place where people could go for these simple solutions. Okay. But I do think that What could we come up with? What would be a good one? How about if you went air conditioner? And then you said pictures. Yep. See, what my thinking is the next time we get together, I'd like to be able to say, okay, guys, that's what I want us to build. Send a link to everybody, and everyone build that creature right there, or this creature, or this creature, or this one. All right. These are all things that people end up needing. What I want to do with our stream time is play a little game where we all try to draw it. And then we sort of talk through the processes that we did to draw it. And when someone says, wait a second, I'm still on the first part. How did you possibly get all that done that quickly? That's how you're going to know the shortcuts to get you where you need to be.
Now, this is kind of something where I would say the Discord might be useful because 4 of us could have our streams going at once, and you could
absolutely
between them.
Absolutely. And you know what I'm even thinking, Tyler? I would, and I don't mind sponsoring this. I would love to have a Discord where we started to get other people to come in, where we had a competition.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal,
right? Where we had a competition. And then we transferred that electronic. Who knows? Maybe we need to buy some Bitcoins or whatever would be a way to be able to transfer these funds to other people. I'm all for that. I think that if we had a sandbox to play in and we all played together, the problem is Mike's sandbox, he's only got one other person, and that's only happened recently. He doesn't have a very big sandbox for multiple people to play in. Who was that? Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. I thought Misty got dropped from the call. I just accidentally clicked her screen.
Oh, she was trying to share.
Oh, I wasn't. So I'm sorry. Okay. Ooh. I'm a hot flash. Ooh.
Well, we got one great thing resolved. What we covered up front, so that everyone on the call has a copy of Revit that they can use for the next 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions on anything you've done?
Thank you.
Back. Is that showing?
Probably should write them down when we think of them.
Well, you're not going to write them down till you start drawing, Ginger. What'd you send me a picture of? Oh, the hours. Gotcha. I wanted it emailed to me in an Excel spreadsheet, bud.
Shit, now I got to buy Excel.
Oh, and you can use any software, comma delimited. I don't care. I'm all for learning how to get away from Excel if you have a way to do that. But we all got to use some kind of Excel-like program.
It's probably going to be Excel.
Well, I know the Google had some stuff. The girls use something.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
There is something that's like the Word documents. They have one too. I think they call it notes or something like. I don't remember what it is. And that gets back to our original discussion about
Google
the software.
Docs.
Google Docs. Yep. And see, that's where the interesting thing is, because most people would think that we're just putting all of our time into you, Tyler. But you see, you, because you're the younger generation, can save us a lot because of the things that you already know about other things. That's how we can really forecast the rest of the people. I promise you that Mark Bradley, he's really good at Revit. I don't know how he is in motion or BIM coordination or Navis or anything else. Maybe good, but chances are you can't be an expert at everything. That's why what I was originally playing with, and who knows, I may still like to use that tagline, is I want this to be the other AI, right? Because everybody's talking about the AI right now. The AI is the biggest thing in the world. And what's it stand for?
Artificial
Artificial
intelligence.
intelligence.
Yeah.
My experience is it tastes artificial. It is artificial. I want to be the other AI, authentic intelligence. Okay. This intelligence was created by years of actually doing the work and sitting through the BIM coordination meetings and doing so much more. The computer is able. How does that actually work, Tyler? How does AI work? It just goes and grabs all the information from anyone that's ever done anything. Well,
Well,
guess
you
what?
give it parameters, and then it operates in those parameters. Revit itself is a form of AI.
Do you use AI? Do you use the chat GPTs and stuff like that?
I don't, but a friend of mine actually developed software for AI.
Well, I'll tell you what, here's my problem. There's such a terrible censorship going on. Isn't this little button right down here? Isn't this thing something about it?
I can't see it.
I'm pretty sure it is.
What is
Oh, it's not. It's
this?
not showing on that. I see what happened.
Copilot in Windows Preview.
Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna click it and see if I just made a mistake. Your everyday AI. Yeah, it is. It's an AI companion.
All right. Ask it something. Ask it, how long does it take to learn Revit?
Let's see what it says.
Let's see what it says. Wrong screen. I'll go
No,
back.
that was right. That was right. Holy sh! Okay, learning Revit can greatly depend on your background and the depth of knowledge you want to achieve. Here's some general guidelines. So there's 3 stages in AI's opinion. Consistency and practice are key. Engaging in real projects, following tutorials, and possibly taking formal courses can significantly speed up the learning process. Are you planning to use Revit for a specific type of project?
So they're saying in 3 months, then in 6 months, you can get intermediate. And they're saying that mastery happens when?
Can take up to a year or more.
Anybody buying that? Anybody think that's the truth? Any of our experienced people?
You know, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, you know, only because I've had different jobs at different places. I've worked for architects, and because I think working for your company in the past, you've worked for so many different things. I kind of touched on a lot of different things in Revit, so it did help me know a lot of different things.
So I asked it what it considers mastering Revit because I kind of think you had the same thought cross your mind.
Yep.
Advanced modeling, being able to create complex and detailed models, including custom families and parametric components, understanding BIM principles of effectively managing digital representations of physical and functional characteristics of a facility, proficiency in work sharing, coordinating with other disciplines, and managing project workflows within a team. That's something that didn't happen here at Danville. Documentation, expertise in creating detailed and accurate construction documents, including annotation schedules and detailing. Something else that should have been had a closer eye to it, for lack of a better term. Skills in rendering and visualizing projects to communicate design intent clearly. Customization and automation. Ability to customize Revit through API, Dynamo, or other scripting tools to automate repetitive
All of
tasks.
that. You're going to do all of that in a year.
Can you go to the previous one?
Yeah.
But the thing that concerned me on the intermediate skills was the family creation. I guess family creation, you should have that in 6 months, but good family creation.
Well, here's kind of where I would almost argue what you're saying, mastering Revit or becoming a basic or intermediate. I think what it's considering is, let me rephrase, I think what it's not considering is the 10 plus years of experience you guys all have in this industry. This is telling you for somebody new running on the current software of Revit, you know what I mean? It's not taking into account somebody actually has experience and has worked through issues already.
I don't know.
Because this says if you have experience with similar software, you might become comfortable with Revit basic functions in about 3 months. So like CAD guys, I guess.
All right.
Yeah, but even CAD stuff, you really had to forget your CAD information. That was one of the biggest tricks.
Absolutely, Eric's absolutely right. I would much rather teach someone who never had CAD than someone who had CAD. Let me ask you to type in a question real quick.
Yeah.
What are the bad things about Revit?
I'm sorry, what do you say?
I want to see what it gives you as a response.
Oh, okay.
For
Yeah.
Steep learning curve, high cost, performance issues, over modeling, handling curves, and limited basic design tools. Those are all things I think I personally heard you complain about, Brian.
Yeah. What's
Users
the bad?
might
What are the downfalls of Autodesk? What are the bad? Try to get it to say something bad about Autodesk. I bet you can.
Oh, it will. I guarantee you it will.
Ask you the question. I bet it won't.
Performance issues, compatibility problems, high cost, steep learning curve, download and installation issues, and frequent updates. While updates can bring new features,
where's the lack of support?
Well, that's kind of what this frequent updates is telling you. While updates can bring new features and improvements, they also introduce new bugs and require users to adapt to changes frequently.
Yeah, let's see. But what it's all talking about there is about the software. I'm talking about the company. Get it to say something negative about Autodesk, and I would think it would be just like you trying to get it to find something to say something negative about Kamala. You understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
In other words, we've all. I'm hoping, and this is not supposed to be a political thing in any way, shape, or form, but we've all seen some censorship in the last couple of years. What you
did
don't
you see the plane
realize?
photo?
What's that?
Did you see the plane photo of the Kamala rally?
I did. I also saw him trying to prove it.
Okay, there you go. That's what you wanted. I said, what are some issues that Autodesk has as a company that could be improved? Governance and accountability. There have been concerns about the company's governance and accountability, particularly regarding the performance of its CEO and the alignment of executive compensation with
Hang on. What happened to the architects that were going up against Autodesk?
No, they're still going. They're still going, and they are mad. And you see, that's what should be showing up here.
And that was a big cluster of European ones, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. In other words, what he's talking about, guys, is there's actually a large group of architects that are after Revit because they've said, you need to do this. This is what you need to do for us. 5 years ago, they all got together and said that this is what needed to be done. And then Autodesk basically just ignored them. And ironically, we're looking at price and accessibility. I think we could all agree from our earlier conversation that that's not really true, right? Pricing and accessibility. Have we now not proved that Revit is really affordable? It really is affordable. We're talking, $20-$30 you can run it for the year. So that's not true.
Well, I kind of like the way they worded this because it's backhanded, but it's not at the same time. The high cost of Autodesk software can be a barrier for small firms and individual users. More flexible pricing models or discounts for small businesses could make the software more accessible.
Well, and the amazing thing is do you remember when we very first started talking about how we all learned MicroStation and then we learned AutoCAD?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why AutoCAD beat MicroStation? Because in the early 90s, there was a real question. This might have even been before Mikey was drawing, which that's hard to believe that we got that many years on of Mike. Mike, you never drew with MicroStation, did you? He left, didn't he?
I was going to say, I don't think he's here.
Yeah, I don't see him there. So anyway, this was, I think, even before Mike started. There was MicroStation, which was the space station was going to be done in. The government had adopted that it was
civil.
going to be CAD software.
Everything civil.
the Corps of Engineers, all the government work was going to be done in MicroStation. And there was little old AutoCAD out there that came in 8 floppy disks, then 12 floppy disks, then 16 floppy disks, then 1 CD, then 2 CDs. But the idea was it came on a media that you could get a hold of, you could find someone. So what happened with AutoCAD was it was actually the fact that people could bootleg it, learn how to use it in their garage, and then get a job in it. And because of that, what happened in 2000 when there weren't that many jobs available, when we started picking up more work and you needed to hire people, they would say, we need a MicroStation user. What does it say?
It's illegal. They won't allow you to break the law.
AI will not assist. I just thought that was funny.
Oh, how can I get a cheap version of Revit? How can I use Revit and I don't have any money and I'm not going to school? To learn. Say to learn.
Alternative software?
He got mad about that. I can tell you that.
No, the first answer is exactly right. The free trial. But how can you do longer than 30 days? Well, we answered that question on our own because with authentic intelligence.
Look at number 4.
Yeah.
SketchUp, they're comparing it to SketchUp. If you learn SketchUp, no, that's ridiculous.
One, I don't believe SketchUp is free anymore.
No, I don't think it is.
I don't think it is.
I don't know what SketchUp is, but I'm about to look it up.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just curious what it is. 3D modeling software.
It was something that allowed you to draw shapes and then push and pull them so that you could get higher buildings or
Look at that. Look at that. Right there it is.
For what, $10 a month?
Yes. Now it's not. The problem is you'll never find a job that's BIM coordination. You will never find a BIM job. The only thing you'll do is be able to make some cool little buildings.
There was a time where they were talking about being able to bring in SketchUp models. I think you can bring SketchUp models in, but I don't think they're of any quality.
No, they're not.
The project parameters in our file was actually pretty decent. Maybe 30 of them.
Namus works.
Number 1.
No, the worst one. That is the worst. The only reason that's number 1 is because it can read from other softwares. You got the Bentley. I heard about Plannerly. Oh, that's for BIM execution plan information. Yeah, that's where I heard about Plannerly. Interesting.
That Trimble Connect, does that connect to a Trimble?
It does. It does. But we can output information to Trimble as well. Those are definitely all above. Those are going to be. That's going to be your generation. I don't see that that's available yet. I know Jaffe sent me a really cool one for running electrical conduit and coming up with different routes. They are beginning to do it, but you've got to realize that right now the BIM coordination is all smoke and mirrors. right? I mean, I would hope you guys in the field are seeing that at this situation, right? We're realizing that BIM wasn't everything it was cracked up to be when the other subcontractors weren't doing their part.
Well, that's the thing. It only works if everybody works together, and if they don't, then it is a massive waste of time and money. I mean, it's literally in the name, coordination. If you don't,
You know what? I would say you want to tread lightly there, because that was what my initial assessment was too. Until I went to Mike Haynes, and he flat out said, "No, we'll always do BIM." Okay, what happens is it's not everything you think it's going to be, but it's so much better than the alternative of not using BIM, of not thinking about a lot of the problems. In other words, us doing BIM on that project, you do understand when we first got this job, Eric called me when I told him just run the ductwork and get it clear of clashes. He probably called me 4 times a day. And what did you say to me, Eric, when you called me?
It's not going to fit.
It's not even in the building, right?
Yeah.
You were calling me 4 times a day saying, check this duct out. It's 3 feet above the roof. How the hell do you want me to make that fit? Okay. So to think that it was an utter failure, that's a mistake. Okay. Now the question is, was it worth the return? Was the investment worth the return that they got on it? And the way Whiting Turner plays, I can understand how it might not seem like that right now, but at the end of the day, I promise you it made a lot of lives a hell of a lot easier. As a matter of fact, Ginger, I wanted to ask you a question. I'm hearing from Mike that Dee Dee is asking about the Deluxe software. Do you know anything about that?
She hasn't asked me.
Okay. She's asking Mike about the Deluxe software.
shit.
And that sort of surprised me. That means that I mean, are the people in the field, are they still good with the Deluxe? Do they still comfortable with it, or do they think it was a total waste of time?
No, they're okay with it.
Okay.
They
I
all
would
use
say
it
they're-
every day.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would say they really love it. Their only complaint is that they can't trust it entirely. They have to check different drawings, but they love the fact that they have access to it.
If there was more trust, if the electrical was in and in the framing was in, then they would feel better about it. If they felt that the fire protection guy was really hanging his shit where the Deluxe model says he was hanging his shit.
Yes.
Well, that's where the problem came in on this project, and I would assume most projects. We didn't fail. The failure came with the coordination of everyone else. I'm not saying we were perfect, but because fire protection started hanging stuff at a wrong height because they were coming from a level line or whatever. They were 2 inches off on. Remember, that caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, I don't think that's the biggest part. I think the biggest part is they had to hang stuff before they had it drawn. Because I will tell you, I feel every other subcontractor absolutely dropped the ball on making the documents. In other words, they made the model, but they didn't make drawings so the people in the field would hang that stuff where they put it in the model.
So basically, in my head, I've made the assumption that all the other disciplines are staring at exactly what our people are staring at.
Correct.
And they're not.
And see, that's why I was saying it was a waste of time. We didn't get to benefit, but everybody else benefited from the work that you and Mike did. They were able to see the issues they were going to have with our stuff, but we weren't able to foresee our issues with their stuff.
Absolutely.
That's a different way to say it. That's right.
Because we held up our end of the deal, we got screwed.
Well,
and I wouldn't say necessarily fully screwed, but I'm just using that term because they were able to kind of say.
You don't hurt my feelings by saying that. That doesn't hurt my feelings by saying that.
Yeah, but Well, yeah, what I'm trying to get at though is they were able to almost say, well, oh, we couldn't keep up with the drawings. We had to keep up with the building. But I saw this was going to be an issue while I was in the drawings because you guys did it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I have always said, it's always been my impression that everybody would have done a lot better if all of the electrical, fire protection, and framing people had access to the Deluxe as well.
I 100% believe that as well.
Well, and the only reason that that didn't happen is because of protocol, which is ridiculous because it's not something that you had to buy the software to. And I am, don't get me wrong, I take that as a absolute major success. And when I talk to the people at Deluxe, I'm telling you, the Deluxe people would really love to help us. And remember what I told you. If you guys want to go as diligently for September, October, November, and December as we have gone for the month of July, August, we could do the facilities management model and I could sell it to them. I could sell it to the casino for a facilities management model. I would be more than willing to do that. And I told you, you two are at the perfect location.
Well,
You're
you're also going to be benefiting Century from that because, from my understanding, we're about to get a 1-year maintenance contract on the building.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly correct. Which means that you got to understand what that means is we've got to go do the one thing that Whiting Turner was supposed to do that never got done.
Gap model?
Thank you, Eric. Gap modeling. You understand? We need to go build those fryers and mixers and all those little objects that they did not build. The window washer tie-offs and all that stuff. Granted, you don't need to build everything like that. But if I was going to do it, I would want to put all that information in there so that the facilities management would have that. Because, don't get me wrong, I would be glad to provide that to Century at no cost to do their 1 year. I think that would, and I'm sure that they would be thrilled to have that to take care of it for 1 year. How many years do you think they plan on using it? 30.
Until they tear it down.
Well, don't be surprised. Some buildings get torn down in less than 30 years. Charlotte Coliseum, the Hornet.
Casinos are the biggest of them.
Yep.
Are they?
I mean, they take them down once a year in Vegas.
And they build them again. Yep.
Yep.
Well, it's food for thought for while I'm away, how we want to approach this next step. But like I said, I'm planning on getting files that first week of September. Have you guys thought about how many hours you could actually give? Have you thought about what it would take you to actually get you to leave and come to work for us?
I will commit to 30, but I will probably give more than that because I need to get going forward.
Tyler?
I mean, it just depends on what Century says. But if I'm not with Century, which, I mean, I already have a good feeling after this job, Century's not going to throw me straight into BIM. I would say 55 to 60.
So you're looking to really pour it on. Well, what if you stayed with a full-time job at Century?
Shit.
Get him
I mean,
addicted.
I would say whatever the difference is that I'm not working. If I'm working for Century 60 hours a week,
20,
0.
25. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Ginger? And the more honest you are with yourself, the more honest you can be with me. I mean, I know you got a family, you got a life, and you got a full-time job. Do they still have you guys working overtime?
Yes.
We work 50 hours minimum.
You're on 50s.
Yeah. And I'm probably going to be looking at 55 this week.
Well.
But at the same time, I mean, when there's a time crunch, the same goes to you, the same thing I treat Century. If there's something we need done and it's time sensitive, I'm willing to put in 82. You know what I mean? It depends how it's going.
Yeah, what I'm sort of contemplative of is I'm trying to figure out what's it gonna take. What would it take to make you guys make that jump? And I don't want that answer right now. I want that answer when I get back from Montana. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Which is good because that gives me time to calm down. Because if you would have asked me that Friday,
You would have said I'm ready to work the country.
I already had a foot in the air.
All right,
So,
yeah, I know. Well, anyone else got anything they want to discuss, talk about?
Nope.
Do you guys want to get together Friday night with a couple beers? We'll come up with a couple of these type things, and I'll be glad to pay $100 a family to whoever draws it the fastest. But I'd like to see everyone drawing.
I'll be 50-50 on Friday and Saturday. I'm not sure when I'm moving to the new house. So my machine's obviously going to be dismantled and all that shit to move over.
Friday, I'm good. Saturday, I will
No,
not be
Sunday.
attending.
I would stick with what we've been doing. What I'm thinking is let's try to do Friday night. Get something to drink so you don't feel too bad when you lose to me. I'm drawing too now. No,
You
get
better hope
something
I
to
don't find
drink.
an AI by then.
You're gonna find an AI that's gonna do this stuff for us.
I got a guy who writes code,
I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
but
Well,
I already know. I think he would really like to join one of these one time because, like I said, he talks so much junk about AI because he's the guy that has to tell it stop being stupid and putting a 360 in a copper line. Like he has to be that guy when it comes to AI. He's like, it's so stupid, but once you get it working, it's flawless until
Yep.
you find its next issue.
Yep. Well, I'll be honest. I'd like to get him on at the same time as Jaffe. Okay.
Oh, they would get along way too well. It'd be scary.
Well, and you see, that's what I think is so valuable about this rogue thing, this online group, this ability for us all to get better. Because that's really what I think it's about. Is I think everybody should walk away from one of these a little bit better than they were before they joined it. I know how many meetings I went to in this last year that I, at the end of the meeting, was like, I got nothing out of it. I didn't get an answer to not a single one of my questions. There was nothing but a time suck. Now, other people got stuff out of what I said because you're right. A lot of the other subcontractors, a lot of the other disciplines, they did benefit from the questions I was asking. And a lot of times I was asking questions that didn't even have anything to do with mechanical or plumbing. I told them, how are you going to make this piece of structure fit with the doorway here? Oh, that's interesting. They didn't even know about it. I think I'm really happy with how it's gone. We still have to knock off some edges. But as I said, I'm thinking that come Monday, and it looks like by Monday, Tyler, I'll be able to give you the go ahead so that you can focus on
Website, email servers, etc.
and you understand that we need monthly email accounts.
Oh yeah, that's
Right?
I can
Right?
handle that myself. Like what Brian or Eric did tonight, I can do that for everybody.
Well,
That takes me 45 minutes to probably make 5-10 accounts.
well, then that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to move forward. I think that you guys have put so much into at least attending these and going through these long discussions that I think we ought to just have a little bit of fun drawing. And I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to have some family fun on Friday night where we have a couple family exercises. And then on Sunday, we're going to try to do a building in that 4 hours. And Misty and Eric, I'd really like you to see how much of that you could be there, because I would like for Tyler and Ginger to say, holy shit, you guys, did you draw all those plans, elevations, reflected ceiling plans, all of that stuff in 4 hours? because that's what they need to know how long it actually takes. Because I have a feeling they think some things take a really long time to draw.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
I know because I know we're practicing on architecture because just that's where you just need to draw everything before you start any one discipline, right? Because you need to know it. But wouldn't you want them maybe doing something with pipes maybe later? Maybe doing a mechanical
Well,
room or
if
something?
we all build a building this Sunday, then the next time we do a Sunday one, let's add the duct work. Then the next Sunday, let's add the plumbing. Then the next Sunday,
but
let's get the duct.
I got one better than that.
Cool, I like it.
We do a 5-card shuffle, and
Ooh,
you do. The
I do
mechanical
Brian's
for my
building. Tyler does. Yeah.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
I like that. I like that.
Okay.
The only thing that can circumvent that is what? What do we all agree? The only thing that's going to circumvent that? A paying job. If we have a paying job and we're going to go, we're going to go. Okay? But if we don't have a paying job, I love that idea. And I think that if we did that as a preliminary, I think we would very quickly get the traffic that we're looking for. In other words, if we did that as Rogue and we did a little bit of name dropping to some of my friends, some of Eric's friends, maybe even some of Misty's friends or managers, people she used to work with, if we just let a couple people know it was out there, they might join and say, wow, this is really cool. So no matter what, it means that we're going to be continuing this in September. We're either going to be making money or we're going to be working on those projects, which I do not have a problem making that investment for September. Okay. So you guys saw Tyler put his stuff together. Get me your times. I'd like those by the end of the day on Sunday.
And
Fair enough.
Google Doc sheet.
I'll be honest, you could do it in an email. I just wanted in text that I could copy and paste. What did you do it in? You typed it in somewhere.
My iPhone notes.
Well, just send me your iPhone note thing because you just sent me an image.
Oh, okay. You just want that
Brian, you
copy
can
and
pull
paste
text
in
from
an
an
email.
image.
Thank you, Eric.
You can
What do
pull
they
it.
call that? What do they call
Just
that?
pull up your photos and anything that has text on it. When you double click on it, it'll give you the same box you get on any text.
Where's that? How's
the
that?
blue dot. What's that?
Show me what you're talking about.
No, on my phone. I'm looking at a picture on my phone.
Yeah.
I double click on the text, and it gives me the 2 blue dots that I can drag how much of the text I want, and I can just copy and paste it.
See,
there's that AI.
There's that user enhanced. That user.
I do not know when that started, but when I found that, and dude, it will take. I had a picture that Renee sent me of the corn pie recipe, and it was written in cursive. The damn thing was able to pick up the cursive and make it regular text.
I'll be Eric. Very nice. Very nice. All right, Tyler, you don't need to do anything then.
Well, I just emailed it to you. It was
All
copy
right.
and paste, yeah.
All right, that's perfect. Because all I wanted to do was be able to total it up. Ginger, you got anything?
No, not really.
Ginger, are you going to share your screen on Friday?
Sure.
All right. I'm looking forward to Friday. Friday, we're going to have a little fun, little competition. We're going to play a little bit of brain teasers. We're going to have some simple questions. It's just going to be like a party you know what I want it to be? I want it to be like one of those Tupperware parties they used to have. Remember how Mom used to have all those little games and stuff? Yep. I want Friday night to be our game night. Sound good?
Yep.
I'm looking forward to seeing all you guys on Friday. Tyler, thank you so much what you did with Eric to start this meeting.
Yes, thank you, Tyler.
Oh, of course, no problem.
It eliminates a ton of stress out of my brain.
And I'm very excited. Listen, Ginger, at least we're doing something now, aren't we? Not just talking about it, right? Tyler, Ginger, I know you guys thought we would never move. We moved forward. We didn't make as big a jump as we'd like. And I don't believe, according to the AI, that you guys have mastered Revit yet.
It's
But
been a year.
You're at least familiar with it, right?
Yeah, I can find dimensions if people need it. And that was kind of one thing Eric at work asked me about. And I was wishing Ginger was there yesterday. It was like 4 o'clock and he wanted some dimensions pulled. And he was trying to get duct dimensions pulled in the architectural drawing. And so I tried helping him and I was like, nah, this just doesn't match up. Something's off here. So I went to Cody with a question and he immediately was like, nope, you got to go to Plan Grid, get it through here, get the call outs, open the call outs. It's already done.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, where we had already dimensioned it.
Maybe it was in Plan Grid. It was above my head. I don't get to touch that stuff.
Yeah, that was all of our enlarged PDFs. That's where the dimensions all occur.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, like I said, I'm feeling extremely positive. I think if we just a little bit patient and a little bit creative, I think by Christmas time, we all hope to surrender the reins to you two, and you two can draw. You're going to be faced with how you get out the damn door, because I'll tell you, it's never going to be easy.
I got a feeling you're just going to open the door and then give me the boot through it, and I'm okay with that.
Well, if that ends up happening, then you know what we're going to do. Right? I'm here. I'm ready. I do need you to put that. You said you could put whatever hours were left. I need that 10 to 15 hours a week for the 3 weeks I'm gone. I expect to see something when I come back. Right?
I'm hoping to have your website and emails at the very least done before you get back, and then I'm going to start working on the file sharing system that you're trying to get.
Yep. Awesome. I'm excited. I do think it's been good. I do think it's been a good month. It's probably been about exactly a month. I think we started about the middle of last month. It might be 5 weeks now. What did your little timer say?
It's almost exactly a month.
Yep, sure is.
First one was July 12th.
So,
You guys came a long way.
What's that?
You came a long way. You guys got a lot done in a month.
No, they didn't get enough click, and stop blowing smoke up their ass, and don't give them big ego.
No sugarcoating yet.
Not yet. No sugar for you yet. You guys, I'm looking forward to Friday night. Come with a little bit lubed up, and we'll be ready to go.
Now, when you say Friday night, does that mean no Wednesday, no Thursday?
Yeah, well, we never do Wednesday. We've never done Wednesdays, and Thursdays I can't do because I'm going down to Clemson to take my last daughter to college.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, that makes us single. What are we called? Dinks. Dual income, no kids.
There it is.
There it is. And then early next week, I'll be taking off for Montana. That's why I say we can do Sunday night, and that'll be our last one until we come back.
I gotcha.
Sound good?
Now, while you're gone, you still want us to run the show?
I don't know how many hours we'll have left, but you could absolutely. You don't know how much I would love to see a continuation of a live stream occurring on those days. I would love that.
Even if Tyler and Ginger can get some drawing in so they have questions, we get together. I can help you through some of that stuff.
So there you go.
Okay.
Man, everybody has everybody's email, but yeah, Tyler, that's a home run in my book. That's exactly the kind of questions that I'm looking for, because we don't really want this just to run from the one person. All right. I don't mind powering it for now, but I don't want to be powering this as a full-time position. I think the real thing to do is to get it so that it gets a life of its own. It's a collaborative effort. I think it was a very good night. We went a little bit over. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you on Friday night.
Have a good night.
You'll have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Bye.